You're listening to WUCC Public Radio from the University of North Carolina at Unaka City. Up next is CarmTalk. Hello and welcome to CarmTalk on National Public Radio, and we're broadcasting from the lovely UNCUC. Well, I'm broadcasting live. My fellow host called in sick today. But I'm ready to answer your questions about Unaka City, its infrastructure, its governance, and any other questions you have that my producer deems appropriate. Let's introduce our first caller.
Oh, hello. My name is Megan. I'm calling from Unaka City, and my home is near where they are building the new train line. I was wondering, what's Lightrail like? What's Lightrail? How is it different from between this and the trains that are already running?
Hello, Megan. We've been getting a few questions about the new transit.
Questions like these are what this episode seeks to answer, as I offer an overview of transit modes and compare and contrast them.
Now, to make this more than just a Wikipedia article, I will also plot them on this graph, comparing speeds to capacity. Who knows, we might even reach a conclusion. For the purposes of these musings, public transportation is anything that carries anyone with a fare or ticket somewhere else within a metro region. So taxis to subways, but not personal cars or Amtrak. Let's start with taxis, aka ride-hails. This includes stuff from yellow cabs to Uber and Lyft. It is very low capacity, typically 1 or 2 people, and it can get stuck in traffic. So it's slow on a busy day and fast on a clear day. There is a distinct advantage to these services, though, that should be acknowledged. They are on demand and direct, meaning that ideally, you are on the move within 10 minutes of wanting to go and will take the most direct path. This directness does come at a higher cost. Put a pin in that. So, for the chart, this is low speed and low capacity. Let me explain myself. This assumes average traffic and maximum capacity. So that means that for your standard 4-door car, that's 3 passengers and traffic can affect it. Up next, we'll look at buses. For their capacity, I'd say that on average there's room for 30 people sitting, plus several standing, certainly medium capacity. With articulated buses, also known as bendy buses, they can have even more capacity. As for speed, buses can and do get stuck in traffic. Additionally, most transit agencies require a fare payment at the front of the bus, which makes stops take longer. So if it's stuck in traffic, the bus is the slowest option available. There are alternative forms of buses that need to be considered to understand what a bus can achieve. First are bus lanes. With dedicated transit lanes, buses are able to sail past traffic, moving them up to medium speed. There are many smaller components that can also be added to increase the speed, such as all-door boarding, off-board fare payment, and signal priority. I'm going to lump all of these together into BRT. Bus rapid transit is a term that gets thrown around a little too loosely, but at its highest quality form, combining all of the improvements I mentioned, it brings the humble bus up to the rapid category. Now things get more fun, as I get to talk about trains.
I like trains.
Starting with the slowest trains, we'll work our way up and to the right. Streetcars are at the slowest end because they share most or all of their tracks with cars and traffic. There are generally 2 flavors of streetcar in America. There's historic replicas, such as Memphis or Little Rock, and there's modern streetcars, such as Portland or Atlanta. Both have the same speed of slow, but their capacities differ, as modern streetcars use medium-capacity trains, while historic systems use vehicles typically smaller than buses. Continuing up the chart, we now come to what is certainly the widest category, light rail. This category is so wide because systems built in 1897 and systems currently under construction are lumped in together. And places like Los Angeles, Minneapolis-St. Paul, and Seattle all have taken different approaches. Let me start with what it's not. It's not a streetcar, meaning that trains don't share lanes with traffic. Also, it's not heavy rail, hence the name, meaning that it can run on streets. It just does so in dedicated transit lanes. These transit lanes mean that at the slowest, light rail is medium speed. Some systems make use of tunnels or elevated structures, sometimes extensively. These systems earn the fast category. There is a similarly diverse amount of capacities for light rail, with systems like Seattle and Los Angeles running longer 3-vehicle trains very frequently, resulting in very high capacity. On the other end, systems like Norfolk Tide, Baltimore Link, and Houston Metro will run 1-car trains infrequently, which results in a medium capacity. So they are generally fast and generally high capacity, but there's a few other things I want to mention, and that's the flexibility of light rail and the explosive popularity of it. Light rail can go anywhere. It can run along city streets or in tunneled segments, or along highways. This allows for some very affordable alignments. Put a pin in that. Second thing, tons of light rail has been built in the past few decades, and more is still being built. This is for several reasons, including capacity, speed, general trends, and the affordability. Put a pin in that. Next, we have metros or subways, sometimes called heavy rail. As the system of choice for the densest and biggest cities around, it should be no surprise that this is very near the top of the chart. Systems like the New York City subway and Washington Metro run very long trains with capacities in the thousands, and they can run them extremely frequently. Also, metros can run extremely quickly, with top speeds in the 70s or 80s miles per hour, and they are typically entirely separate from traffic, meaning that they're pretty much always faster than driving. In fact, some systems run along highway medians, allowing for a quick comparison of a train at rush hour versus a highway at rush hour. Also, more than any system on this list, metros are convenient and reliable. Even in a city that cuts corners or made poor decisions with their designs, they still form the backbone of the urban area and the entire transit system. Subways and metros fundamentally change the way space and travel work in a city. The final mode I want to talk about is commuter rail. Commuter rail is kind of awkward because it easily has the highest theoretical top speed and the highest theoretical capacity. A fully loaded double-decker New Jersey transit train booking it up the Northeast Corridor to New York City is what the top right of this chart looks like. But there's a real problem plaguing America's commuter rail: bad schedules. So, a Los Angeles Metro-Lonk train might get you from Anaheim to downtown Los Angeles faster than a bus or car, but only if you pull up to the station as soon as it's time to go. Otherwise, if you want to get there any other time than the morning rush hour, you have to wait till 4 in the afternoon. But there is a change in the air, with systems like San Francisco Caltrain, Salt Lake City Frontrunner, and Denver RTD running all-day frequency, meaning that any time of the day, the train will be consistent, coming the next 15 to 30 minutes, allowing people to use it for something other than a commute. I think I'll do this. I'll say it has a higher speed than metros, but a lower capacity, because a fully packed subway train every 5 minutes is truly a massive amount of people. Alright, remember those pins I told you to put in the price discussion? Let's pull those out. Random bullshit lightning round. Here's all the weird crap that gets built sometimes. Monorail, typically fast, but not that many big trains, so medium capacity. Gondola, not super fast, but cool, typically very frequent, medium capacity. Metro movers, low capacity, low speed, but Miami made it work. Incline railway, slow and low capacity, but climbing mountains is hard. Personal rapid transit, no notes, ship it, every college town in America should have one. The Musk Loop.
Explanations of why this is dumb and bad transportation can be found here, and here. But quickly take all the negative aspects of taxis and metros and none of their positive aspects, and that's the loop: taxis and subway tunnels. This is Elon Musk's solution to traffic.
Let's see. Anything else? Well, anything not on this list can be considered extra dumb and bad. Huh? What was that? Anyways, costs. So, generally speaking, as we move up the chart, things get more expensive. So there's a trade-off. Building a subway is great and transforms a city, but it is a pretty serious investment. For the biggest and densest cities, though, the capacity is sorely needed. So New York, Houston, Chicago, LA really should be building metros and commuter rail just to meet travel demand. But for smaller cities, the capacity isn't as needed, which is why we've seen light rail systems being built in medium-sized cities, from Charlotte to Buffalo to Phoenix. In these cities, the needs are successfully met by these systems, especially as the systems expand. But some listeners may have noticed that 2 of the cities I listed as needing metro systems have instead been primarily building light rail. Now, LA does have some metro lines, and they are pretty good for the parts of the city that they serve, but they are woefully inadequate for the full region. LA and Houston are the poster children of sprawling US cities, and the speed of commuter or metro rail is really needed to close the distance for these communities. Long Beach to downtown Los Angeles is 20 miles, and the A-Line takes 53 minutes to get there, while BART Metro takes 28 minutes, and Frontrunner takes 24 minutes to travel a similar distance. Ultimately, each city and its transportation network are in a relationship. As I always say, all development is transportation-oriented, but the flip side of that is true, and all transportation should meet the needs of the city. So regional rail rapidly connects an entire region, while metros or heavy rail form the transportation of the densest and most important areas in big cities. Light rail does that for smaller cities, or can connect the less dense areas of a larger city. Bus rapid transit works for even smaller cities, and can also connect between the other rapid transit modes, while streetcars and buses can work as the final local connection, bringing individual neighborhoods into the larger rapid transit network. All of these modes have better or worse uses and are always most effective when planned together, with each mode supporting the others, forming a full transit network.